Hey, check this thing out. Century Arms AK-47. If you're like 15 years old, this gun is older than you, believe it or not. This is a Billy Badass gun, but let me take the magazine out because it's full. Check those out. Those are like those Wolf target rounds. You got lacquer finish on them. They look really, really cool. I'm not gonna lie. Those are pretty cool. All right, getting back into this thing. So I bought this thing a million years ago and I love it. I've had it. I've shot the crap out of it. The only critique I am going to give it is on this front. They call this a muzzle pin or something. You can see I'm pushing this detent pin in. I still will not be able to spin this no matter what I do because it's been tack welded. And if you look, yeah, I tried cutting it off. Luckily, I didn't go all the way through. I started doing some research before that. If I would have cut all the way through, all this junk here is being held on by that weld. So if I would have cut that, to my surprise, what would have happened is this nut would have come off, but then this would have come off, the cleaning rod would have come off and all that stuff. And I would have been looking like a fool and having to go to the gun store and have them fix my mistakes, which that never ever happens to me. So getting back into this thing, I'm gonna do a bunch of these videos where I am just gonna take these things down and put them back together again and show you some cool things. So let's get into taking this thing down. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check it so you can see the safety is on. Let me get rid of that light, that's much better. So the safety's on. I'm gonna switch the safety to off. That's the safety switch. Real rudimentary. All it does is prevent you physically from putting the bolt back, literally. So nothing crazy there. We're gonna check that. I'm gonna slide the bolt back. I'm gonna look inside the chamber. And we're not gonna see anything in the chamber. She's clean. While we're looking at that, look at how slick and easy that action moves. So what I've done is, I'm gonna get to that, I'll show you. What I've done is I've buffed out that action. So first thing we're gonna do when we take this apart, we're gonna take the dust cover off. We do to take the dust cover off, take your thumb, push this little piece in the end. Here comes your dust cover. We're just gonna put that right there aside so we can see what we're doing. Next thing is this recoil spring right here. Thumb skiddy-umptious is just gonna push that down. Recoil spring comes out. And the recoil spring, we're gonna put that right there. Next piece is the bolt. Look at this thing. It's like butter. And I'm telling you, if you look at Centuries, you're not gonna see something that smooth. I did that. I'm gonna take full credit because I'm proud of it. And let me show you, look at that thing. I mean, that is slicker than snot. So look at this. So what I've done is I have a buffing wheel. And people say, oh, don't do that. So what I did is, this thing was really rough and it was getting hung up. I could see by shooting it so much that I was getting a rub right here and it was hanging up big time. So what I did is I just started taking it down with my buffing wheel, and that ended up, it caught like a disease, and that disease made me buff all this. And then the disease continued to make me buff all the inside of that. And then I got real sick and I just buffed the other side of it too. And I just kept putting it back into the gun and running it. And until I got it to my satisfaction, and then I was happy, and I ended up with this. And it looks like so cool when you whip this thing out. It looks like the gun's been through a war. It hasn't. It's just been in my gun safe. So the gun hasn't done anything nefarious, but it just kind of looks really, really cool. Also, wood. You can look at this wood. I did that myself, real simple. Take the wood off. You need a screwdriver, that is it. Take the wood off, sand it down, put a couple things of stain, and then finish it with some nice lacquer. And you get this, it looks like the Russian red. It's like a rip-off. It's like a fake Rolex of Russian red AK-47s. All right, so we took the bolt, we took everything. You can see most of the stuff's taken apart. If you want to go back to the buttstock, inside here, if you push this down, cleaning tube will pop out. You can take that out. That's really no big deal. Moving forward to this portion though, this is kind of interesting if you wanted to clean in here. This lever right here that my little fingy's on, I'm gonna flip that lever up. That's going to allow us to remove this little gas tube. And then what I usually like to do is I take my cloth and I just run it through that, you know, real easy. Just run it through that tube. There's not really too much on there unless you're shooting like corrosive crap, but you shouldn't have too much going on inside there. So we'll put that over here. And we got that and that. What's left over here is we got this cleaning rod, and you just bend it up and it comes right out. And you take your cleaning rod with your cleaning kit and get busy. But we're not gonna do that because you can tell that she is absolutely pristine. Cool thing about AKs, people out there, I bought these, I started buying these up a few years ago, and while I'm reassembling this thing. So I'm gonna put, first thing first, I'm gonna put this gas tube back in. So I started buying these things up, and they were $425, basically. So anywhere you went, you could get one of these for about 425 bucks. And then once all the BS started, like a few years ago, that 425 jumped to 2,000 bucks real quick. So you can figure out, you know, if I bought quite a few at $425 and then sold them at 2,000, that's a huge profit margin if one was to do that and sit on guns. And that's always what I recommend doing. All right, so we get the gas tube back in, get the lever back to its right position. It should be sitting right there. Next thing we're gonna do is put the bolt back in, real simple. We saw how slickery this thing was, so that should slide right back in. That just rides right in that gas tube there. So you just need to push it down, simple as that. And then she slides right in. I mean, look at that. Next thing, your recoil spring. That slides right back in. And my own gloves are distorting it, and it slides right back in there. Check that out. So that's really cool. Let me put some light on here. That's better. So this is the spring. It hooks in, kind of weird. Push it forward with your thumb and then it comes up and out. It just rides right, there's a little section, it just rides right in there. This next portion is like the most wacky one here because it's not like an American system where everything's precise, where you're putting like a 5.56 or an AR or 2.23 back together. This, you just line it up and push down. And when that pops back out, you know you've got it well, you've got it done right. Also, I would always recommend jacking this thing back, because if this dust guard is not properly seated, which sometimes they crawl underneath this lip instead of on top of it, and they'll go right underneath it. When you go to jack it back, it'll pop the dust guard out, so you know you're not done, you haven't it done right. That we know is done correctly. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this back in. Real simple. Slides in here, slides down there. And then when you get back to the beginning, you just have to bend it up. And it locks in there. So that's that. And then we're left with this cleaning kit right here. And that cleaning kit simply goes right in that hole. And as soon as you push it in, put it in the wrong way, of course. I'm an idiot. Come on, my glove. Hey, ruh-roh, Shaggy. Already got problems. You should probably do that without a glove instead of being an idiot. And there's that. So, note to anyone that watched me, take the glove off before you're doing that, because this little bad boy is just gonna eat it. All right. So once we're assembled, and we're moving nice and smooth, we are done-ski. Put your magazine back in, or however you choose. And that's it. So Century Arms International AK-47. This is a Romanian AK-47, so made in Romania, imported to the United States. I've put many, many thousands of AK rounds through this. I used to go to a quarry every winter and just shoot all day long. And it is a super reliable, super cheap gun. And also, you can kind of look right now, these things right here that you see on the side, that is for a scope mount. So I do have one, I do have a scope for it, but it's a piece of junk. But this is for a scope mount for an AK. Coming at you with more videos, stay tuned. Merry Christmas, because today is Christmas. So 2 videos on Christmas. Coming at you with the next one. Keep your head low in the foxhole.